A very good morning. It is Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Welcome to Mornings with Ken Rosato. We are live on both the East Coast in New Jersey and the New York City metro area. And as of this week, we're also live in Southern California throughout the LA area, now on LACA. Our phone lines are open 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the weather near you.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
Hey, Mike, it is a year now today since we had the big fire in Southern California that destroyed 17,000 homes and businesses and killed about 30 people. It's just unbelievable. And that was due to so many different things, but part of it was the dry conditions. Fast forward 1 year, not dry conditions. It's amazing how different the soil is and how saturated it is 1 year later at the same time of year.
Right, a big change in terms of soil moisture and in terms of average rainfall over that same time frame. The winds may pick up later on this weekend, and that's something we're keeping an eye on over in that part of the country. We start out on the East Coast, and while the temperatures are milder than they were yesterday, it's still pretty chilly, allowing for some light showers to fall across some parts of the Northeast, even some snowflakes up there, upstate New York. You can see some of those light snow showers mixing with some sleet down south, doing okay. Out toward the West Coast, and another round of rain today. This is the upper level low we've been talking about, moving into Southern California this afternoon, and another round of rain as well for the northern part of the state. Northwestern, the Pacific coast likely sees some of those showers return too. It's a slow moving system that today finally starts to move eastward as that kink in the atmosphere begins to move over Southern California and even parts of the desert Southwest, allowing for that rain to fall and then work its way east into the Midwest, likely causing some severe weather by this time tomorrow, especially as you head in toward portions in Tornado Alley. That part of the forecast we'll talk about next. In terms of the temperature trend, that's just the beginning of a warm-up that takes over the next several days. This heat is spreading eastward and doing so as a pretty good clip, seeing temperatures well above average, even in parts of New Jersey and southern parts of the state later on today. So again, the bigger picture showing the clearing take over today. We'll have a few early morning sprinkles in the Northeast and then gradually clear out. We'll talk more about the rest of the week's weather and the highlights across the nation. Ken, that's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, we appreciate that. Thank you, Mike. And right now on the East Coast, in terms of traffic, we have a down tree on I-80 eastbound east of 27, which is 183 in Roxbury Township. The right lane is closed. We have weather-related and speed advisory on the Garden State Parkway, both directions, from south of 89A, which is Route 70 in Lakewood, to north of exit 130BA, US 1 in Woodbridge, 45-mile-an-hour reduced speed because of reduced visibility from fog. And we also have delays on the Turnpike, I-95 northbound exiting at Route 46 in Ridgefield. In that case, that's due to volume. Let's take a look right now at the Hudson River crossings. Both the Lincoln and Holland are reporting just 20 minutes. GWB going across right now is a little slow because of all the fog that we have. You can see that it is actually not super high in volume, just properly slow due to the fog. So you could see the issues they have there. Pardon me. You can see the trucks on the right side more for the upper level. On the left side, it's more cars. But everybody's going across at about 20 minutes. That's actually not so bad. Just beware because of the fog of what you have going on throughout the region right now. On the West Coast, we just have really some overnight construction delays, which we will hit more in our next report. That's coming up just a few minutes here on Mornings with Ken Rosato. At 4 minutes past the hour, lots of California news, of course, this morning. Today marks the first anniversary of the start of the LA fires that killed 30 and destroyed 17,000 homes and businesses. We now believe it grew so quickly because environmental officials would not allow LAFD to access parts of the area where the fire was first spreading to protect certain native plant species. But dozens of hydrants also in the region were dry. So there were a lot of people who did not do their job. You have but one job. Make sure the hydrants work. For months, the hydrants were dry. Why? You have wildlife species. You always have wildlife species all over California. But when you have a fire reported, that's when the LAFD has to have priority. And then you had, of course, brush that was never cleared because the environmentalists didn't believe in that, when we know for literally decades, clearing dead brush helped prevent the spread of wildfires. That, on top of the fact that there's such a high demand for power use, the power lines overhead get overheated because the governor and the liberals in Sacramento will not permit the construction of additional power plants because they don't want anything fossil fuel related. So the overhead power lines get dry and get hot rather, and they end up sparking fires. So there was a lot of blame to go around, all of it on the left. And now, of course, a year later, only a handful of homes have been built, or actually the start of construction. Thousands of people are still waiting to get permitting and to get started on the rebuilding of their homes. But this just shows total negligence on the part of liberal officials in Sacramento and throughout local communities too, like in LA, with deference to environmentalism over people. The day, by the way, will be marked with concerts, vigils, and volunteering. Our other big story in California today, Nick Reiner will appear in court in LA. He's scheduled to be arraigned on murder charges for killing his parents, iconic director Rob Reiner and wife Michelle Singer Reiner, December 14th. Other news now, President Trump says there are tens of millions of barrels of oil in Venezuela. That is 20+% of all the oil on Earth. And the U.S. may take over some of it while denying it to nations like Cuba and China, who depend on it. Yesterday, the UN Security Council met to discuss Maduro's capture. Socialist countries, including Brazil, China, Colombia, and Cuba, condemned the action as a crime of aggression. Just remember, the UN also failed to condemn the October 7th, 2023 slaughter of over 1,200 Jews in Israel by terrorist members of Hamas from Gaza. Nearly half the world does not recognize Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela. So the U.S. therefore did not force a regime change if we don't recognize the regime. The sitting vice president of Venezuela assumed power as acting president after taking the oath of office. And now there's word that she's been secretly communicating with President Trump for nearly a year. This whole thing may have been arranged between her and the Trump administration, and she allegedly continues to cooperate with him. What the U.S. did was to enforce an indictment that was handed down by a grand jury in New York City nearly 6 years ago. Even former President Biden set a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head last January. Democrats had no complaints when he did that. Pure hypocrisy. We have breaking news. It appears the government of Iran may be on the verge of collapse. For months, there's been financial breakdown. The Iranian rial is practically worthless due to sanctions against the country. Food is often hard to find and jobs are scarce. And now at least one large city you see there on your screen, that one large city has fallen to protesters. The city of Abd Danab, near the border with Iraq, saw tens of thousands of protesters demanding independence. Police there laid down their weapons and shouted solidarity with the protesters. And there's word the Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, may be about to board a plane loaded with cash bound for Russia. We'll see what happens. 8 minutes past the hour, the Department of Justice has disclosed that it has released only about 12,285 pages of the Epstein files. That's less than 1%. Federal law required the vast majority of the documents to be released by December 19th, but most remain under review. DOJ officials say the slow process is due to protecting victim identities and extensive review requirements. Democrats, including Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, are criticizing the Justice Department for delaying their full release. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth formally issued a letter of censure to Democratic Senator Mark Kelly and started proceedings that could strip him of his retired military rank and cut his pension over a video that encouraged troops to refuse unlawful orders. The action started over a dispute from a November video in which Kelly and other liberal Democrats told military and law enforcement members to disobey authorities if they believe an order given them is unlawful. Well, they know that already. They take an oath saying that is the case. Many, if not most, believe the advice was these individuals acting in a seditious manner, especially as Kelly is a former Navy captain. He blasted the move as outrageous, un-American, and politically motivated, and has vowed to contest it. Under the Uniform Code of Military Justice, retired military officers who receive pay like Kelly remain subject to military law and strictly forbid seditious or contemptuous speech. So what he did is not permitted under federal law if he's going to continue to receive federal money in the form of a pension. 10 minutes past the hour. The DEA and HHS announced a fourth temporary extension of telemedicine prescribing privileges through the end of this year. The extension allows practitioners to remotely prescribe Schedule 2 through Schedule 5 controlled medications without a prior in-person visit. The big ones like Schedule 1 would be narcotics. Those you have to go in person for. But Schedule 2 through 5 you can still get with a telemed appointment online. The rules include telemedicine prescribing for opioid use disorder treatments. However, officials say the extension prevents disruption in patient care while new permanent guidelines are structured. So lots going on today. By the way, if you would like to give us a call, we'd love to hear what you have to say. 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. What's different about our program is whether we're in the middle of a story or in the middle of a weather forecast, if there's something you disagree with, you can give us a call and we will put you head of the line. We'll put you on the air to debate us or to talk to us or to make a comment, compliment, or any kind of a statement. You're welcome to do so at 888-658-0234, no matter where you are in the country. 888-658-0234. If you're just tuning in for the first time, California, you especially, pardon me, because this used to be strictly an East Coast show, New York and New Jersey. And now we are also in Southern California on LACA. We welcome you. Again, the number is 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. We're 12 minutes past the hour, and meteorologist Mike Favetta will have the weather near you when we return. Again, 1 year since the big fires in Southern California claimed the lives of 30 people and destroyed 17,000 homes and businesses. The day will be marked by a concert and vigils and lots of remembrances for those who lost their lives. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We're covering the East Coast and the West Coast. Stream daily on Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, Facebook, and X. We're also streamed live on Local Now, Substack, Rumble, and Twitch. Lots more East Coast and West Coast news when we come back here on Mornings. We'll be right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. For your Wednesday, it is 15 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
And how are things looking East Coast to West Coast, Mike?
Things are looking good this morning, Ken. Like you had mentioned in the traffic report, a little touch of fog, and that could be impacting some travel early on this morning. Even with the bigger picture showing the warmer air starting to move in to the East Coast, with the airports right now still running all green, at least on the map here. You can see some of that light rain and ice mixed with snow coming down a little further north of New Jersey, but south points, say points near Philadelphia, Atlantic City, even down through the D.C. area, looking good at 7:16 in terms of air travel. Want to head over to the Midwest because that system that is entering Southern California right now, by tomorrow, will be over portions of the Great Plains, and that could lead to some severe weather, an elevated risk of severe weather through Memphis and St. Louis as all of these storms march eastward with that warmer weather. But it's that warm weather that continues to work its way eastward over the next few days. Might even have some record highs down south, which would be very impressive given how warm this air will be. And then you see the subtropical jet here working over just offshore from California could cause some gusty winds there in the LA basin over the next few days. So that's our trend here, at least across the country, with the last of the showers and light snow showers working east over the next few days. Plan on a quieter pattern there over Southern California as that wet weather moves in today but moves out by tomorrow. We'll take another check of the long-range trend and the future cast. That's coming up in just a few minutes, Ken.
All right. Very good, sir. Appreciate that. Lots of traffic, by the way, more East Coast than West Coast because of the hour, 17 minutes past the hour right now, but it's 7:17 New Jersey, 4:17 in Los Angeles. So we take a look, first off, just to let you know, up and down the Garden State Parkway, there is a lot of fog. So no matter where you are, you'll see patches of fog. Just be aware of that. Please be careful when you drive because there have been a lot of issues reporting massive amounts of fog, and then it clears right up. So it's in and out of fog. Weather-related speed issues down to 45 miles an hour on the Garden State between exit 89 and 130. So between 89 and 130 on the GSP, you can only go 45 miles an hour. So just be aware of that. You can see right there. Thank you, Pam, for that shot. The dense fog that we're talking about right there. We also have a crash now southbound north of exit 130 BA, US 1 Woodbridge. The right lane is blocked. Again, that's on the Garden State Parkway. And we have issues to tell you about on I-80 as well. Oh my gosh, we even have something just popped up. Exit 150, Garden State northbound, exit 149 southbound. And now Hudson River crossings, 20 minutes at the Holland. It is 30 at the Lincoln Tunnel. And we have about 40 at the GWB as we look at the upper and lower level approaches. You can see very, very slow, damp roadways. Again, that dense fog in the background as people make their way into Manhattan. Just please go very slowly and give yourselves extra travel time due to the intense fog that we have throughout much of the area. The temperature, of course, being in the 30s, whereas a lot of the ground is still colder than that, and the water is warmer. So you have warmer water, the air now warming up, but cold ground from all the cold that we had. Mike explains it well, and that results in fog, which is actually stability in the atmosphere. People think it's just the opposite. It's actually stability causing that. Over to the West Coast right now, we have a bunch of things to tell you about in LA. There's a 55-hour extended weekend lane restriction, a reduction scheduled for northbound I-605 in Whittier. Also, Caltrans freeway enhancement on the 605 to improve commuter travel and freight movement. And we have Highway 101 crews continuing to work at the Wildlife Crossing. Also, ongoing Caltrans work from Lake Hughes Road to Vista del Lago Road. The closures are necessary to upgrade guardrails and repave the freeway. We'll, of course, give you more information from Los Angeles as we're now live on the West Coast throughout the morning, but it is still very early there, so we don't have the level of traffic there that we have on the East Coast right now. 19 minutes past the hour, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting voted to formally dissolve after nearly 60 years in operation. This decision comes after federal funding cuts under the Trump administration left the organization unable to continue. The CPB's main function was to distribute public funding to NPR, PBS, and local public broadcast stations nationwide. The reason they had to exist was under federal law, the U.S. government is not supposed to have any ownership interest in or financial control over a broadcast entity, and that is to prevent propagandist pressure. Think about it. If the government owned the TV stations here like they do in London, pardon me, or like they do in Russia or China, then they would have say over what the news anchors are permitted to say. Now, that kind of happened because the Democrats were in bed for decades with many members of mainstream media. But we at least did have certain stations that wasn't the case. And that's why the Corporation for Public Broadcasting was created with supposedly independent board members to determine how federal tax dollars got distributed to public broadcasting networks and individual public stations. Local public broadcasters that relied on CPB funding are now at risk of closure without that support, but many also receive viewer donations and even non-commercial sponsorships from advertisers. So they have multiple veins of income. When public broadcasting was established, most cities only had a few TV channels, ABC, NBC, CBS, for instance, and then eventually they added a PBS station. Fox came many years later. Radio stations and newspapers, they usually had a couple of radio stations, maybe one or two newspapers. Well, since the advent of the internet, all that's changed. In an era with literally thousands of political voices online, accessible all over the planet, the need for publicly funded public broadcast stations is simply not what it once was. Now, if you still love your PBS station, your NPR station, nobody's forcing it to close. Dig in your pocket, make a donation, you could keep it going. That's if people really want their public TV. They will send in donations. Otherwise, they will go away because there are plenty of alternate sources. You could find kids programming and opera on the internet and on things like Bravo. You don't need to have a public TV channel for that. You could find cooking on Food Network and other channels. There are lots of other cooking channels that are free. So you don't need to have PBS for that. No offense, PBS did great things, but they also started to get very left-wing political, and I think that's what ultimately led to their demise. 22 past the hour, police say a convicted serial killer recently confessed to a 60-year-old New Jersey cold case murder. 18-year-old nursing student Alice Eberhardt was brutally murdered in her Fair Lawn home September 24th, 1965. Now her family finally has some closure. In conversations with Fair Lawn police, a jailed man known as the Torso Killer confessed to murdering at least 80 people back in the day. Police believe they have their man because they asked him a specific question about how he entered Eberhardt's house in the 1960s. First, the police suggested how he did it. The man then corrected them. They gave him false information intentionally. He then corrected them and precisely explained his actions in a way that only somebody who had entered the house in reality could have. On December 22nd of this past year, investigators say they got their confession. 23 past the hour, California Republican Congressman Doug LaMalfa has died at the age of 65, ending his long stretch of service in the House of Representatives. His death reduces the GOP majority in the House to 218 Republicans versus 213 Democrats. LaMalfa was a 7-term congressman and a staunch ally of former President Trump, known for backing the Trump agenda. The president and GOP leadership acknowledged his passing and expressed condolences to his family. 24 minutes past, and National Weather Service meteorologists have issued a flood warning in Sacramento early yesterday as the Sacramento River hit a depth of nearly 211 feet at the Tehama Bridge, putting it into minor flood stage. The rising water levels came as California has faced a slew of atmospheric rivers that brought a major amount of moisture across the state. Although the strong storm systems have moved on, lingering flooding is expected to continue as further rain and water runoff contribute to surging river levels. 24 minutes past the hour. If you haven't yet gotten rid of that live Christmas tree, it is time. By this point, most natural Christmas trees have gotten pretty dry, even if you put water in the base, and they are loaded with very flammable natural oils, making them a major fire hazard. In fact, 35% of all Christmas tree fires do not happen in December. They happen in January when the trees get dry, according to the National Fire Prevention Association. From 2020 to 2024, Christmas tree fires caused an annual average of 7 deaths, 13 injuries, and $15 million in damage. So make today the day you get rid of that Christmas tree. Way to do it if you want to not make a mess. Coming from the New York City mindset, You take giant garbage bags, put a giant, like I'm talking about the 45-gallon bags you can get it, or the 65-gallon bags even you can get online or at your home improvement center, and slide it carefully over the top, and then invert the tree. And most of the branches and the little spines will end up in the bag as opposed to on your floor. Okay, everybody, let us congratulate our new friend, Molly. Take a look at Molly. That's not Molly. That's Molly. Well, those are Molly's babies. Molly is an adorable 6-year-old new mom of 2 adorable baby sloth bear cubs. The cubs were born at the Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, D.C. The babies were born the way all sloth bear cubs are born, hairless and blind, although they're starting to get a little hair now. They only weigh a pound apiece at birth. In a page taken from the Jerry Springer Show, zoo veterinary staff must DNA test the babies to see who the baby daddy is, because they may be from 2 different fathers. It's possible that she mated with 2 of the different males they have in captivity, and both sperm could have reached separate eggs at the same time, causing their fraternal twin status. So it's possible that they are offspring of 2 separate baby daddy bears. There you have it. The cubs will remain in their secluded den until the spring. In the meantime, carefully placed den cameras will be kind of creepy, taking a peek at the rarely seen duo as they develop. Sloth bears, by the way, are native to South Asia. They're known for their distinctive long fur, and they eat insects. They don't eat people. So that's the good thing, that those little sloth bears are cutie babies. Hello, baby sloth bears. They will be eating bugs, not you and me. Coming up on 28 minutes past the hour. When we come back, 2 New Jersey leaders are recognized on the national stage for their work supporting childhood literacy. And we will take your calls. The number is 888-658-0234, East Coast or West Coast. 888-658-0234. You're watching Mornings with Ken Rosato. We are live again on both coasts, New Jersey, New York area, and Southern California. And we are coming back in just 2 minutes.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Good morning, 30 minutes past the hour, Wednesday, January 7th. Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. Our phone lines are open, 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. East Coast or West Coast will take your calls. Anything you'd like to say, comment, compliment, scream about, disagree with something we said, please feel free to call us, 888-658-0234. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full forecast for your area.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
Hey, Mike, it's amazing how New Jersey, of course, being a much more condensed location versus California. In fact, if you put them side by side and you flip New Jersey, because New Jersey is like a kidney. No, yeah, I guess if you flip it, if you look at the two states, it's almost like New Jersey is a mini me. If you were to just flip it and then stretch it, you have California,
Sure.
right? Am I wrong? Think about the kidney shape of each. But you have
It's so true.
You have what was super dry weather a year ago, helping to lead to the destruction and the death we had 1 year ago today in the Southern California fires. And then today, you had in the last couple of weeks massive amounts of flooding. In fact, in Sacramento, we still have flood watches in effect. The Sacramento River is super deep right now and could cause flooding. So just amazing how the 1 year makes such a difference.
And these are the big trends that lead to these extremes that go from extremely dry to abnormally wet in that course of a year. And that's a trend we've noticed over the last few years, even up to a decade, at least that I've been following it, watching how you can go from, reservoirs that are so low, you can see, record lows, and then they fill up just 2 years later. Well, here's a look of what's happening with our weather across the country, with the jet stream driving a lot of that heat and even the rain out west. Throughout the next few days, we'll notice a drying trend as that system that moves into the southwestern U.S. today gradually moves eastward, but also brings with it a little bit of a ridge, and that brings back the warmth and above average temperatures for not just the south, but even portions of the northeast over the next few days. Look at how warm it'll get with that surge of a southwesterly breeze taking over for the east coast, allowing for a very mild feel. So, as yes, it's still winter time, we have more of a milder trend setting up over the next few days across the east coast. There's all that wet weather, most of it heading just to the south of Southern California, but moving inland over the next few days and transitioning by tomorrow into that potential severe system out in the Midwest as it gets going across the Great Plains and then up to the upper Midwest. That takes over and transitions to some more wet weather on the East Coast by later on this weekend, specifically Saturday morning into Saturday afternoon. And then I think some clearing occurs by Sunday with a cool down on the way that'll make it more pleasant once we get to the end of the weekend. A little further down the line, you see here into Saturday and Sunday, most of that wet weather clears out by the first half of the weekend. Once we get into Sunday, though, nice and dry and clear for most of the country. Really don't have much to speak of, even out in the southwest. Into early next week, lots of clearing and mild weather. Just in the upper Midwest, some of those snow showers return because, again, it is still winter. By then, I think we'll see a little bit more of a cool down on the way, even for folks in the Northeast. We'll talk more about that with the longer range trend, Ken. That's coming up in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you so much. At 34 minutes past the hour now, a lot of traffic to talk about because of all the fog that we have in the New York, New Jersey metro. So let's see if we can pick up one of the cameras there, Pam. If you have the Garden State cam, there's also, by the way, look at that. Wow. That's on the Garden State Parkway. What we're looking at, you can't even tell where, and it doesn't really matter because this is what's happening up and down the Garden State in patches. You'll drive along and it'll be perfectly clear, and all of a sudden you'll hit a bunch of fog. So this is mile marker 133.1. So it's about exit 132, 131. This is near Colonia. And that's what you're seeing. Because if you think about the proximity to the ocean, you get the ocean breeze, which is warmer. Then you get cold air to the west coming in. So ocean to the east, cold air to the west, and ground is cold, air is warm. All of that is colliding, causing fog. And that's what you see right there. So please, extra travel time, go slowly if you can. We do have, we had a crash on the Garden State, and we do have it still southbound north of exit 130BA, which is Route 1 in Woodbridge Township. All lanes are open, but again, a crash is dragged off to the side. We're told now that there is a problem on 495 going into the Lincoln Tunnel. There is a disabled bus in the center tube of the Lincoln Tunnel. All the 495 cameras are out of service, so we can't show it to you. That's rare. There are 5 different cameras trained on 495 in the Lincoln Tunnel. Every single one of them is out of service this morning, and they probably can't fix it because of the fog. So just beware, if you're headed to the Lincoln Tunnel, you may want to just avoid it for now because of the massive amounts of traffic this may be causing because of that disabled bus. Holland Tunnel is a decent bet. It's 20 to 25 minutes in. Look at the GWB upper and lower levels now, a standstill. This is going to cost you 45 to 50 minutes in. Upper level is on the right, lower level is on the left. A lot of fog in the background once again as well. Over to the West Coast, we have lane closures now in the Antelope Valley Freeway in Lancaster with ongoing construction work. Also, nightly lane closures on the I-5 in Commerce, Downey, and Santa Fe Springs, and ongoing Caltrans work from Lake Hughes Road to Vista del Lago Road to upgrade guardrails and repave the freeway. It's still, of course, overnight in LA versus the East Coast. For those who don't realize, for those of you watching in around the New Jersey area, we're also live now, East Coast and West Coast. So we're live on LACA, our New Jersey channel. So you could tune in from that side as well, not only just the East Coast channel. It is now 36 minutes past the hour. A New Jersey lawmaker and a member of his staff are being recognized on the national stage for their work supporting early childhood literacy and pediatric care. State Senator Patrick Dignant Jr. and his chief of staff, Greg DeFaro, have been named the 2025 Reach Out and Read National Honor Roll recipients. They're awarded with this, recognized as leaders who champion early literacy, among other things. And Kim Byam is the executive director of Reach Out and Read New Jersey and Delaware. She's here to talk about it with us. Good morning to you, Kim.
Good morning, Ken. Thanks for having me.
I botched that. Good to have you with us. So I know you'll help me by clarifying what I just botched. So talk about the organization, how it was founded, and how special this award is, please.
Sure, and you didn't botch it. Reach Out and Read is an early literacy program that takes place in the doctor's offices at regular checkups. So doctors are talking to parents about the importance of bringing books into their lives every single day and reading to their children. And they're also giving a brand new book at that well child visit for that child and family to take home and keep. So in New Jersey, we are in 105 health clinics serving about 80,000 children from birth through age 5. So that many families are, every time they're going to their checkups, are talking to doctors about the importance of sharing books. And they're getting a beautiful book like this one. This one happens to be Spanish and English. That's what we use a lot in New Jersey for the little ones to take home. So Senator Dagan and his chief of staff, Greg DeFaro, have been wonderful, wonderful advocates and champions for families in New Jersey. And we're just thrilled that they were named to this National Honor Roll.
So the kids not only lose some of their fear for going to the doctor because they know they're going to get rewarded, right, with something like this, but this also helps boost early reading skills. And I guess it gives the doctor a heads up if the child is not able to read, maybe, and maybe it opens a dialogue with the parent.
It exactly opens a dialogue with a parent. It starts at those very first visits at birth when doctors are walking in with a book like, look what I have for you. It's an icebreaker. And they're talking to parents about how important it is for that little brain that by the time that child is 3 years old, 80% of that brain is developed. So it's a great window to absorb as much language as possible. So doctors and nurses are telling parents and caregivers, this baby, this little kid needs to hear your voice as much as possible. It is their favorite sound. And just looking at pictures in a book and reading together and pointing at things means books equal love. And when a child then is ready for kindergarten, books have been a part of their life and they love it. And our doctors love it too.
And I know that there's lots of evidence that shows that kids who have, say, universal pre-K in certain cities, that those kids, because they learn their reading skills by 3 as opposed to 4 or 5. When, as you mentioned, 80% of that brain is developed and ready to go, right? With reading skills ready. You want to get that brain trained to read at 3 and 4, not at 5 or 6. By that point, of course, it's never too late to learn. But by that point, it is way more difficult to start reading. And we find that students who start reading at 5 or 6 as opposed to 3 or 4 have a much more difficult time in school. So this is so important to have this dialogue and get it started in the doctor's office. So let's talk about Senator Dugnan and Greg Tafaro as Chief of Staff and how they got named. How are they selected to the 2025 National Honor Roll?
Well, they have been wonderful advocates for families and children in New Jersey for so long. And early literacy has just been a big part of that push. And Senator Dugnan came to one of our health clinics in his district and saw for himself what was happening there and listened to the doctors and what they were doing every day. And he really just helped us with this advocacy work we're doing and helped us secure state funding to be able to expand our program to more clinics, more families, and get more access to books to kids. We do learn that many of the children in these clinics, the vast majority are using Medicaid. These are often the only books in their home, and parents might need that reminder to bring books into daily routines. So it's really not about learning to read at that young age, but bringing books and sharing books as part of a daily healthy routine that brings families together, helps with stress, and allows for family engagement and connection, and is a really simple way for a parent to spend a few minutes every day with their child in a really special and impactful way.
Yeah, it is so essential to do this. And again, to make the child feel so special. We love that you're doing this. And is this something, by the way, that's happening nationwide, or is this just a New Jersey thing?
This is in every single state in the country. We are serving 4.8 million children from birth through age 5 in every single state. Here in New Jersey, we're serving about 80,000 families, and we continue to grow throughout the country and in New Jersey.
I love it. I love it. What is a website? We have about 30 seconds left. What's a website for more info?
Reach out and read, all one word, .org.
Thank you for what you do. Executive Director of Reach Out and Read New Jersey and Delaware, Kim Byam. You're awesome. Thanks for coming on this morning. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
You bet. And we're coming right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to Mornings with Ken Rosato. For your Wednesday, it is 45 minutes past the hour. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the forecast near you.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
All right, Mike, so we're talking about what's going on in LA, of course. We had all the rain that we've had, but yet a year ago it was so dry. And it's also the anniversary. In fact, I just sent you a link. The blizzard of,
I
was it
saw it.
96? Yeah,
30th
so that
anniversary.
was like 2 feet of snow or something like that we
Yeah.
had parts of New
hmm
Jersey. That's crazy. That's a crazy
I
amount.
remember
Not the
that.
case today. Fog and milder
Oh, no.
temperatures in New Jersey.
It's so true. I'll share the experience coming up in the next weather segment when we focus on just New Jersey. But I wanted to talk more about what's going on down in the LA basin with so much of that rainfall happening throughout the rest of the day today, even with most of the cloud cover moving in through this afternoon. You see some of those showers working offshore. It's going to be another wet afternoon as that system pulls eastward, but then a nice dry trend over the next several days that takes over as the system scoots eastward and then impacts most points in the desert southwest over the next several days. So a clearing taking over as soon as tomorrow into Friday, with beautiful weather returning just in time for the upcoming weekend. So not a cloud as the dry weather prevails once we get to the upcoming weekend. As far as the East Coast, we have another round of cloud cover to start this morning after a little bit of light rain and shower activity last night. By tomorrow morning, the high pressure that builds in clears us out, brings in some warmer air, and with that warm up, could see a few more scattered sprinkles throughout the day on Saturday. I think Sunday also has the opportunity for some light rain throughout the day. Not a washout, but some scattered spotty showers, and then Saturday clears nicely. The temperature outlook brings back warmer than average weather for most of New Jersey and even most of the West Coast. Look at how emboldened that is for most of California, especially Southern California. That takes over through the next 2.5 weeks, right through January 21st, and then drier weather takes over for much of the country, especially out west, going into the end of the month as well. So some big temperature changes and weather changes ahead as we look forward to above average temperatures, Ken, over the next 2 weeks. Well, again, we'll talk more about that 30th anniversary of the Great Blizzard of 96 coming up in our next weather segment.
Yeah, parts of the area I didn't realize we got almost 3 feet in parts like down toward
Yeah.
Philadelphia and all, 30 inches,
hmm
34 inches. That's insanity because you're talking about people not being able to open their doors to
No,
get
that's a
out.
child.
Um,
That's a small child.
yes. In fact, Pam is, of course, saying in my ear, "That's awesome. That's awesome." She loves anything cold weather, snow, and ice. Give it to Pam. We're going to rename Pam Nanook of the North. That is her new name. I dub thee Nanook of the North, Pam. That is your official name because you love the cold. All right, my friend. People in Southern California right now are saying, "What the hell's he talking about?" These New Jersey people are crazy. Mike, we'll check back with you in a little bit, sir. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. In terms of traffic, what we have throughout much of New Jersey right now is dense fog. It's patchy, so you'll be driving along, it'll be fine in some areas, then all of a sudden you hit dense fog, and Pam has the perfect camera on the Garden State Parkway for us right now. It doesn't matter which fog camera we show, it's all the same. You can't really tell where you are because of the fog and fog. Can I say that? So yes, there we go. Thank you, Pam. You can see the fog in the distance there. This is up and down the Garden State again, as Mike has explained throughout the broadcast. It's a combination of the milder temperatures coming in. We're going to be in the upper 40s today, combined with the mild ocean water to the east and the colder air to the west. It all clashes, and you get what I call the fog and fog. And that's what you got right now up and down New Jersey's highways. So give yourselves lots of extra travel time, please. We don't have major issues right now. There was one crash reported on Route 129 northbound near Wolverton Avenue in Trenton. The right shoulder's closed. Crash on 295 northbound at exit 29, Route 30 in Barrington, right shoulder closed. None of that is impacting really traffic. Traffic is just properly going a little more slowly because of the fog, and that's a very good thing. On the Hudson River crossings, we had an issue on 495. We don't have cameras for that. The cameras are all out, unfortunately, probably due to the weather. But approaching the center tube, there's a disabled bus in the middle of the center tube of the Lincoln Tunnel going into New York. That's causing backups onto 495. So right now, you're crossing into Manhattan on the Lincoln or through the Lincoln Tunnel is going to cost you about 35 to 40 minutes. It's only 20 to 25 of the Holland. GWB very slow, upper and lower levels, very dense fog there. You can see the upper level on the right, lower on the left. It's going to cost you about 40 minutes to 45 minutes into Manhattan if that's the way you go on the GWB. Off to the West Coast right now, we have overnight lane closures on the 405 through the Sepulveda Pass for pavement rehab. Also, weekly road and lane closures of Topanga Canyon Boulevard, State Route 27. Crews on the Pacific Coast Highway may set up single lane closures anytime between 4 a.m. and 3 p.m. weekdays. Excuse me. And Metrolink trains will not operate between the Laguna Niguel Mission Viejo and Oceanside stations Saturday and Sunday, January 10th and 11th. Well, as we begin 2026, we look ahead at the runways at New York Fashion Week and the street styles surrounding them. So what are the trends that we'll be seeing in 2026? Joining us this morning is our dear friend, Dawn Del Russo, who will now be on regularly. Yay! A fashion and lifestyle expert here to break down the biggest 2026 fashion trends to watch and how viewers can start incorporating them right now. Good morning, Dawn.
Good morning, Ken. So exciting.
Yes, it is exciting to have you. I was going to be sitting here wearing my PJs and a robe and just have you
Oh no.
talk me through. But then I thought, I don't want people to have to unsee that at some point. So
Oh,
I instead just did what I normally do, just throw a jacket over an open shirt. But
well,
coming out
it's
of New York Fashion Week, thank you. You're always kind to me. My mother must pay you. Coming out of New York Fashion Week, what themes are defining fashion right now?
We have a lot of great and fun looks. I think some more unique stuff, not the typical florals that you're thinking of. I'd like to start with like lace and outerwear because there's always this transition of clothing of, the coats and the heavy pieces, and designers incorporated a lot of lace into trench coats and kind of lightened them up a little bit. So it's a nice different look, something you wouldn't think of in a trench coat. And oversized collars. I've seen a lot of that. So think big, bold collars on the top. You can even wear, a layered look with a sweater and a collar, a bigger collar underneath. So that's for women. We have a lot of different options. I also put in some stuff for guys too, because I didn't want to miss them.
Uh,
I thought
well, I'm
about
glad.
that.
Can I talk about quickly the oversized collars? Now, I know you're saying that's for women, but I just randomly, I hate going into stores and shopping. I'm sorry. I'm an online shopper. And I ordered some
Nice.
shirts online recently. And they were kind of like Guayabera type, Southern Florida, because I go to South Florida a lot. They were kind of that kind of a
Mm.
shirt where you wear over, like a button over your pants. So they hang out, they're not tucked. But I noticed that all of a sudden they came with oversized collars that I have never seen before in male shirts. So I'm wondering if that is a signal that that's a new trend that they're trying to make, at least for male shirts as well this year.
Yeah, I think so. It's funny. I was just talking to someone, and the oversized look for men, which I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm seeing like these baggier style dress pants and a little bit of an oversized blazer, which is interesting because that's been going on for women the past few seasons, but now we're seeing men doing it. And it's more of like I would say a much more trendier look, but I definitely can see the bigger collars coming into play too, for men. Also, like gingham style button
Hmm.
down, that is really popular. More of that look for men. I've noticed kind of happening. It's been there, but we're seeing a little bit more. So if you want to do a button down and you're thinking about what can I buy, I don't want to do the typical white shirt. You can do something like that, which is a nice look too.
Yeah, interesting that you just mentioned all of that because I'm so sick of seeing men in the spray painted on skinny jeans. It's so
Yeah.
emasculating. I'm sorry, I'm done with that. And I speak as a gay man, and I don't want to see emasculated men. I'm sorry. It's kind of creepy to me to see like if you are 45 years old, I don't want to see you at 45 or 50 with spray painted on jeans. Ew, I don't
No,
care what
I
kind of
agree.
shape you're in, okay?
I agree.
Unnecessary. Yeah, no. But at the same time, I saw a kid the other day. I was at the airport and I saw a kid probably in his 20s who probably weighed 80 pounds dripping wet. I'm not kidding. He's like 6 feet tall. He was like that. But he had on a pair of jeans that were so baggy that if you did that, they would have fallen off of it. It was just like he was wearing a potato
Yeah.
sack. That's the other extreme. Oh, just how about wearing clothes that fit? Am I crazy?
Right.
Maybe I'm just fashion.
It's two extremes. I always say, like, when we're looking at the runways and we're looking at streetwear, you got to take it and, not do it where it's like, 'cause the runway is meant to be a little bit more extreme. And most of the time, the stuff on the runways are not going to be something that you wear day to day life. So you're supposed to take that and bring it into your life, a little less dramatic. You don't need the extreme looks
Yeah,
at all.
right. A runway is supposed to be like when a car manufacturer comes out with that futuristic crazy car, right? It's meant to say,
Exactly.
look what we could envision, but not that you're going to buy this and drive it on the road every day. But you always have that wackadoodle person who says, I could rock
Right.
that.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's a perfect example. And I was going to mention oversized necklaces because this whole oversized trend is really happening. And it's the same thing, like the runways showed these big, bold, like pearls that were really huge. Take that and know that you can wear them, but tone it down a little bit. Go for the look that's going to still look manageable when you walk out the door. Maybe if you're wearing it to work, you don't want something that's, this big, huge necklace. But if you're going to do it, do that look a little bit lighter so you do bring in the trend, but not so much of the drama.
Nice. And I know that accessories are doing a lot of the work this season. Talk about the belt accent handbags and why they're such a strong trend.
Yes, I am loving this. It's a really nice look, and designers are doing it across the board from really small bags to big oversized totes as well. We saw very big designers doing it, and a lot of it trickled down into the more affordable styles. It is like a handbag. Just think of a typical like belt that you would wear around your waist. Around the top of the handbag, you're going to see that. It's a nice little accent. It gives your bag, that updated look. So if you're looking for something that is going to bring you into the next season and you want a new style, that's the style to look for, something with a belt around the top. It even buckles. We're seeing little buckle detail and hardware like that. So it's a fun way to switch up a style that you already have.
Love it. Fashion and lifestyle expert Don Del Russo, now a regular on the show. We thank you for coming on this morning.
Thanks, Ken, so much.
Always good to see you. 58 minutes past the hour. Those of you in California, please stay tuned for more news and info on LACA. And if you're watching on the East Coast, stay tuned for On New Jersey Mornings. Thank you for watching. We'll be right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Very good morning. It's 8 a.m. Wednesday, January 7th, 2026. Welcome to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. Our phone lines are open 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Lots of patchy fog through the region, becoming partly cloudy, milder, a little windy this afternoon too. Highs today upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
All right, Mike, now that we're just on East Coast, we could talk about the people in California. No. It is, they're nice folks. Although I think a lot of them are saying, hey, dude, why are we watching like New Jersey news in Los Angeles? Like, I can't figure
I'm
that
sure
that
they
out.
are. I'm sure they are.
Yeah,
Yep.
and
Yep.
that's like the governor. The we have an anniversary though. We briefly touched on it. 30th anniversary of the blizzard of 96. And I
hmm
vaguely remember that. Of course, we had so many years since then, 30 years. But that was a serious blizzard that really
It was.
impacted New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, right?
It absolutely was. I vividly remember it because the snow was up to my shoulders as I was walking down some of the sidewalks when we had to clear. You know, I was in Morris Plains at the time and helping my dad shovel the snow, and remember thinking, wow, this is really deep. I remember building a snow tunnel, actually, tunneling down through the snow because, you know, that's what kids do at that young
Right.
age. But yes, 30 years ago, happened January 7th to the 8th of 1996. And some parts of New Jersey, there toward Morristown, up to 30 inches of snow fell, even for you in Sussex, and down through Long Branch and Toms River, almost 2 feet. So it was an impressive one for the books. Like you said, a little further south toward Philly, up to 3 feet of snow. It was really a record-setting storm. Now, while there are no big storms in our forecast, there's actually a milder trend that kept temperatures milder overnight, allowing for some of that fog to develop because with the warmer air that came in last night, not too much of a wind chill even above the freezing mark across most of New Jersey as those gusts are above the 15-mile-per-hour mark. We look ahead toward a milder day. Temperatures already starting out 11 degrees warmer than this time yesterday, with some of the clearing happening high in the sky. You saw a few showers last night across the northern part of New Jersey, very light sprinkles, light drizzle, and that's what allowed for some of that fog this morning. And the fog lasts through this afternoon. So maybe heading out, getting your hearing checked at one of the 13 Audio Nova Clinic locations across New Jersey, even down toward Toms River, 51 degrees as the high. So a very mild finish to the day. Even with temperatures starting off above freezing, we warm quickly through the afternoon with some breaks in the clouds by the end of the day. The futurecast showing some of those clearing spots across New Jersey, with it a little bit more clearing throughout this afternoon. Tomorrow could have another quick round of sprinkles, especially overnight into Friday morning. And then I think Friday looks a little bit more wet as we head into the day. Saturday, the longer range futurecast showing some of that rain setting up for Saturday morning into the afternoon. Temperatures really spike. We could be up in the 60s over in Newark, even toward Flemington and down toward Camden and Mount Holly, with that very warm weather setting in. And with that, some rain, but it all clears out with some drier weather after the last rain finishes on Saturday evening, leading to a very pleasant second half of the weekend. So while it turns much milder with the rain for Friday and Saturday, cooler weather sets up for Sunday into Monday. We'll give you that part of the forecast coming up with another check of your weekend weather, Ken, in just a few minutes.
All right, sir. We appreciate that. We got a lot of fog in the area. We were talking about that. So, of course, that's causing slowdowns. But let's go over to I-80 first. There's an issue in Patterson, I-80 by Route 19, which is like the main drag that takes you off of I-80 into Patterson. You can see what's going on over here. We don't know if that's an accident. It likely is an accident or breakdown. It hasn't been reported to 511 yet. But from what we're seeing, it's obviously causing a bit of a slowdown there. So just beware if you're going through Patterson on I-80 by Route 19, which takes you right into downtown Patterson. there are some delays through that area right now. Patchy fog throughout the region. Pam, you can bring up the camera du jour, whichever you like, on the Garden State Parkway to show that what we have. Traffic, of course, slowing down as you come through the patchy fog. Then it lightens up as you get out of the patchy fog. But there you go. Looks like it's lightening a little bit. Mike was saying that through the morning, the fog will just keep burning off until we have partly cloudy and lightly breezy conditions later today with highs approaching 50 degrees. It's amazing for the early to mid-January to be approaching 50 degrees. That's a wonderful thing. But that's what it causes because you have that freezing cold ground, freezing cold temperatures to the west, then to the east, a warmer ocean, and the air temperature is warmer. So the cold and the warm meet, you get fog. And there you have it right there. We have a crash on 295 northbound at exit 29, Route 30 in Barrington. The right shoulder's closed there. And your Hudson River approaches the Holland Tunnel is your best bet all morning long. It's only 25 minutes across right now. Lincoln Tunnel, we did have a broken down bus in the center tube. That's been cleared, but the residual damage is there. About 30 to 35 minutes across. GWB has been heavy for much of the morning, upper and lower levels, 80-95 approach, and it still is. As you can see, fog in the background, and you're talking about a 40 to 45 minute crossover time via the GWB. It is 8:06 right now. President Trump says there are tens of millions of barrels of oil in Venezuela. That is over 20% of all the oil on Earth. And the U.S., unlike what we did in Iraq, where we didn't touch the oil, we may take a bunch of it. And why not? Because they have murdered through their drug deals and their drug sales and their drugs coming into the U.S. They have murdered hundreds of thousands of U.S. citizens. And they also kicked out many of the American oil companies who were present there legally over the years when communism took over under Chavez and Maduro. So the U.S. may take over some of that oil while denying it to nations like Cuba and China, who depend on it for survival. See, if you cut the snake at the head, now they're going to have problems. Cuba will basically not be able to run any vehicles, do any construction because they won't have fuel because Venezuela supplies them with like 90%. Venezuela and Mexico give them their oil. Mexico's, by the way, next. They better watch out and start playing ball with the U.S. Yesterday, the UN Security Council met to discuss Maduro's capture. Socialist countries, including Brazil, China, Colombia, and Cuba, condemned the action. Of course they did, as a crime of aggression. Well, just remember, the UN also failed to condemn as a crime of aggression October 7th, 2023, the slaughter of over 1,200 Jews in Israel by terrorist members of Hamas from Gaza. Where was the UN then? There was no crime of aggression there. They kept their mouths shut. And nearly half of the world has never recognized Maduro as the legitimate president of Venezuela. So the U.S. did not force a regime change because we never recognized him as a president. We simply arrested a guy who was indicted in New York. We're allowed to go after somebody who's indicted in the U.S. anywhere we want. The sitting vice president of Venezuela legitimately assumed power as acting president after taking the oath of office. So if we were practicing regime change, see, the vice president is part of the regime. So we didn't effect a regime change. All we did was arrest a member of the cabinet. In this case, he happened to be the president for violating U.S. law. And now the vice president, who's the acting president, is playing ball with the U.S. And Venezuelans, hundreds of thousands, millions around the world are cheering this change, cheering it. We have, I believe, 6 to 8 million Venezuelans who are a diaspora around the world, fleeing the communist oppression that they were living under, now cheering because they can go back home. And they want to go back home. And by the way, Venezuela is a beautiful country. Caracas, the capital, was an incredible city. It was one of the wealthiest cities on the planet. Can you imagine? Venezuela was the third or fourth wealthiest country in the world because of oil. And Caracas was one of the wealthiest gleaming cities until the friggin' tyrant left-wing socialists take over and took all the wealth. And the people ended up on bread lines, no toilet paper, no food, and no jobs. That's what socialism gives you. Mamdani taking note. What the U.S. did again was to enforce an indictment that was legitimately handed down by a grand jury in New York City nearly 6 years ago. Even former President Biden set a $25 million bounty on Maduro's head last January. Democrats had no complaints when he did that, and now they're complaining that President Trump is doing something about that bounty. Pure hypocrisy. The left just hates Trump. period. And we have breaking news. It appears the government of Iran may be on the verge of collapse. You heard me right. For months, there's been financial breakdown in that nation. The Iranian rial, which is their money source, it's practically worthless due to sanctions against the country by the U.S. and Western nations. Food is often hard to find, and jobs in that country are scarce. And now at least one large city has fallen to protesters. The city of Abdanan, near the border with Iraq, has seen tens of thousands of protesters demand independence. That's unheard of in Iran. And police there have laid down their weapons and shouted solidarity with the protesters. There's word that the Ayatollah Khamenei, Iran's supreme leader, may be about to board a plane loaded with cash bound for Russia. 10 minutes past the hour now, the Department of Justice has disclosed it's released only about 12,000 pages of the Epstein files. That's less than 1%. Federal law required the vast majority of the documents to be released December 19th, but most remain under review. DOJ officials say the slow process is due to protecting victim identities and extensive review requirements. Democrats, including Chuck Schumer, are criticizing the Justice Department for delaying the release. The DEA and HHS announced a fourth temporary extension of telemedicine prescribing privileges through the end of this year. The extension allows practitioners to remotely prescribe schedules 2 through 5 controlled medications without a prior in-person visit. The rules include telemedicine prescribing for opioid use disorder treatments. Officials say the extension prevents disruption in patient care while new permanent guidelines are structured. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth formally issued a letter of censure of Democratic Senator Mark Kelly and started proceedings that could strip Kelly of his military rank and cut his pension over a video that encouraged troops to refuse orders from the U.S. government. They say unlawful orders, but the U.S. government is not issuing unlawful orders. So what are military members to think? The action started over a dispute from a November video in which Kelly and other Democrats told military and law enforcement members to disobey authorities if they believe an order is given them unlawfully. But of course, this violates the Uniform Code of Military Justice for Kelly. He was not supposed to do that and still collect his pension. And everybody, you ready for a cute alert now? Let's congratulate Molly. Molly is an adorable bear, but not just any bear. She's the new mom of 2 baby sloth bear cubs. The cubs are born at the Smithsonian's National Zoo in Washington, D.C. The babies were born the way sloth baby bear cubs are also always born, hairless and blind. They were a pound apiece, and there will be a camera in the bear den so we could creepily sneak in and see what's going on all the time. Coming up at 8:13, when we come back, areas of fog, partly cloudy, milder, a little windy this afternoon, highs upper 40s. More news. The full Garden State forecast, too. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. We're coming right back.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. It is 8:15, areas of fog early, and we do have a lot of it. Then becoming partly cloudy, milder, a little windy this afternoon, highs in the upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the Garden State forecast for you.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
All right, Mike, we see some of the areas of fog starting to lift already, which is what you said would happen. But it's amazing how mild it is today for this part of January.
That's right. And the mild weather is the reason for the fog. As that warm air moves over the cool ground, there's still some snow on the ground in some parts, especially where it's been plowed, those big piles of snow. You can see the visibility right now down to 0 up in Hackensack, there by Teterboro, a mile visibility through Newark, 1 mile visibility through Morristown. So the northern portion of the state certainly seeing the impacts of that fog. Down across southern parts of the state, there towards Ship Bottom on LBI and Atlantic City, not as bad. But yes, visibility is lowered statewide due to that cloud cover that is now starting to lift and will give us a little bit of a brighter sky toward the end of the day. But the fog does get worse before it gets better, specifically toward central New Jersey, where as that fog, as the cloud cover begins to clear, some more fog should develop. 50 degrees is your high today in Point Pleasant, 51 in Toms River. That's a solid 10 degrees above average, so it'll look quite nice through the end of the day with the milder feel. Even though the wind chill makes it feel like the 20s at times where there's a bigger gust of wind, it does cool down a little bit by tomorrow morning, but we warm back into the 50s as soon as Friday afternoon and make a run for the 60s by Saturday. So even though there's some rain on the way toward Friday and Saturday, with that wind, it does turn milder in the southwesterly wind direction, helping move those temperatures in the warmer direction going into Friday and Saturday. There's that southerly breeze taking over for Friday afternoon, pushing in some of that warm air, and then a bit gusty at times on Saturday, clearing us out by the time we get to Sunday. So a few of those morning sprinkles that happened overnight into the early morning hours are now gone. There's some more that stay off to our north today. I think there's the potential of tapping into a little sprinkle by the day's end, but overall it's just an unsettled kind of cloudy pattern today with a break in the clouds by the afternoon. You can see those breaks happening much later on in the day, closer to 5 and 6 o'clock this evening, as temperatures hold in the mid 40s. We cool down later on tonight, back into the 30s, start our day tomorrow, quite cool, and then keep it dry for most of the day on Thursday with rain, spotty showers returning on Friday, kind of like a springtime feel, if you will, or one of those dreary winter days, especially with the temperature that holds in the 40s with the light rain. Saturday starts to brighten up by the afternoon. Even though there's some few showers that could be scattered in there, but Sunday is the day where we see the real clearing that will bring back cooler weather, but also lots of clear sky. So there's our last round of rain that comes through Saturday evening as highs climb to near 60. The weekend forecast shows the wet weather to start, but clearing to finish. Sunday looks beautiful, 50 as the high, but we'll see a cool weather transition throughout Sunday into Monday. We'll tell you more about that with the 7-day forecast, Ken. It's coming up in a few minutes.
You know, Mike, whenever I hear the song that people associate with Christmas, I always think of it right now, middle of January. In the bleak midwinter. This is the bleak midwinter right now. This is where it is. But I'll take bleak midwinter, upper 40s, 50 degrees anytime. If that's bleak midwinter, bring it. Do I sound like a
nice,
like a 92-year-old Episcopalian nun in London?
A little bit.
All right. Thank you very much. I'll go put on my habit. We'll check back, Mike. Thank you very much. Our temperature, by the way, 41 degrees in Trenton already. That's pretty darn good. It's 44 degrees northern New Jersey, and it's 42 degrees right now in Cape May. 41 degrees also in Vineland. In terms of traffic, let's take a look right now, if we shall. Let's go to the New Jersey Turnpike. We have an issue This is inside the exit for interchange 11, Garden State Parkway, Woodbridge. Center lane blocked. It's not so horrible here. Actually, a minute ago, it looked worse than it is. So it's actually moving pretty well, but that was a little worse than it is now. That's partly due to the fog. We've seen some area accidents. We have delays in 287 right now, northbound from New Jersey Turnpike, exit 2 to 27 in Edison. All lanes are open, but a bit of a slowdown. Delays on 287 southbound north of exit 14, Route 22 to exit 13, Route 28, Bridgewater. Again, all lanes open there. We go over to Route 21. There are delays southbound exit 9. This is approaching Route 3 in Clifton, by the way. All lanes open again. Just a bit of a brake check as you make your way to Route 3. On your Hudson River crossings right now, the Lincoln is moving better than it was. There was a disabled bus in the center tube that's been cleared, so Lincoln will cost you about 30 minutes in. The Holland, about 20 to 25. GWB is the worst of the three. Upper and lower levels, upper on the right, lower on the left, jam-packed, not moving. 45 to 50 minutes at least, making your way into Manhattan. It is 20 minutes past 8 right now. Mayor Zohran Mamdani tapped a longtime Bernie Sanders staffer and former New York Times reporter as his communications director. 33-year-old Anna Barr will oversee the newly sworn-in mayor's entire communications department. Mamdani's communications team is expected to be larger than any other mayor's administration in the history of the Big Apple. 821, some New York City Wegmans stores are warning customers that facial recognition scans are being stored while they shop. By the way, Wegmans is an amazing store. They're doing this because apparently there's been a lot of theft in certain stores. The company simply says it is to protect the safety and security of patrons and employees in stores that demonstrate, quote, an elevated security risk. In other words, if it's in a neighborhood where people tend to pilfer and walk out without paying. Other New York City grocery and retail locations like Fairway and West Side Markets and Walgreens reportedly already use biometric data collection in their stores. Police say a convicted serial killer recently confessed to a 60-year-old New Jersey cold case murder. 18-year-old nursing student Alice Eberhardt was brutally murdered in her Fair Lawn home September 24, 1965. Now, her family finally has some closure after all these years. A jailed man known as the Torso Killer of all things confessed to murdering at least 80 people. Police asked him about Eberhardt, specifically asking how he may have entered her house. Now, after police gave their own suggestions to him, he said, no, that's not how I entered. And he gave very specific details that only somebody who would have broken into that house could have known. So on December 22nd of 2025, investigators say they got their confession after 60 years. Tragedy in Piscataway on Monday evening. A man called 911 and said his son was threatening the family with a machete. When police arrived, they ordered the son to drop the machete, but he would not. Police say they then tried to tase him, but that wouldn't stop the man. Officers say he then charged at the officers with the machete. They were forced to shoot him. He died on the scene. Police then entered the home and found the man's mother and grandparents dead inside. Because this was a fatal police-involved shooting, the Attorney General's office must conduct the investigation. No names have been released, and that investigation is ongoing. 823, a New Jersey youth coach who police say was taking pictures of underage girls without their consent, was charged after allegedly posing as a police officer at a coffee shop. Police say they got involved with the case after complaints were made about the man's suspicious behavior. The unidentified man is facing criminal charges, and the investigation is continuing. And Governor Murphy will deliver his final State of the State address next Tuesday in the Assembly Chamber at the New Jersey State House in Trenton. It'll be the final address of Murphy's second term as governor before Mikey Sherrill is sworn in 1 week later. 824, people busy during the holidays, cold weather, and lots of folks getting sick are some of the reasons why New Jersey Blood Services has declared a blood emergency. The organization says the state's blood supply is at a dangerously low level, especially for certain blood types. If you are a regular blood donor and you are between the ages of 17 and I believe 66, that's the age range, and you don't take certain medications, I believe Propecia, you cannot take finasteride Propecia, but except for those deals. Also, if you are not HIV positive, you are urged to schedule a donation as soon as you can. You know who you are if you donate blood regularly, and they need you to donate blood right now. Usually around the holidays, this happens. In New Jersey, the number of people shot fell in 2025 for the third year in a row. Now, one thing that the Democrats in Trenton are not telling you, during the stressful time of the pandemic, when people were cooped up in their homes, often drinking and drugging, gun violence and gun-related deaths skyrocketed in almost every community, Republican or Democrat, in America. Well, since President Trump took office and many violent illegal migrants were arrested and deported, and people are no longer cooped up with the pandemic, gun violence dropped year after year, mostly, of course, in large blue sanctuary cities and states, because that's where the most deportations occurred, like here in the Garden State. But New Jersey's Democrats in Trenton refuse to even reference that there's a connection between the fact that hundreds of thousands of illegal migrants, many of whom were unemployed, many of whom were fleeing criminality in their home countries. That's why they came here, to get away from the law there. Well, because we kicked them out or they self-deported, they're not here to commit crimes. So New Jersey's Democrats refuse to credit the president's actions against criminal illegals with the drop in gun violence. Just know the reality when you hear Governor Murphy and Attorney General Plotkin try to take credit. Also, Roxbury Township in Morris County is being considered for a new federal immigration detention center, but some locals are concerned. Officials worry about potential strains on local resources, mostly not because of the detainees, but because of protests that could occur. The proposal involves repurposing warehouse space to house detainees. Some leftists claiming to be community members protest the plan, although municipalities have limited legal options to block such a plan. Bottom line, these same leftists simply do not want illegals deported for their own reasons, period. If you don't like it, change the law and illegals can stay here legally. Right now, the law says if they're here illegally, they got to go. But so many on the left will do anything to try to beat the federal government's actions to try to round up and deport illegals, which is what President Trump ran on, was elected on by a majority of the people and a majority of the Electoral Commission. It is 8:27. When we come back, we'll have more news and also areas of fog early, then partly cloudy. It'll be milder today, a little windy this afternoon. Highs upper 40s approaching 50. The full Garden State forecast when we return. We'll also take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234 for On New Jersey Mornings. And we'll be talking about a new medical aesthetics clinic that opened in Princeton. You'll want to check that out. That is called Skin Spirit, their 60th location. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato, and we'll be back in just 2 minutes. Don't go away.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
Good morning. It is 8:30, Wednesday, January 7th. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. The phone lines are open. 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Some areas of patchy fog early, pretty dense too. Then becoming partly cloudy, milder, a little windy this afternoon, highs in the upper 40s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the full Garden State forecast. All right, we will go to Mike in just a moment. In fact, we will have him in just a minute. We're having some issues with the camera, but let's do traffic. How about that, Pam? We have delays now. Or no, Mike is back. Never mind, Mike. Here, Mike, I'm doing my little dance. I was going to do a little juggle, but I'm not good at that. So let's go over to Mike right now with the full Garden State forecast in just a moment.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
I was never good at juggling, Mike.
You did a great job, at least from the 2 seconds I heard. The camera didn't want to wake up from its nap. It just kind of took a little midday break. It's like all of a sudden doing, Italian hours. Take a little nap in the middle of the show. But yes, we're back. Inject a little espresso into it, and here we go. We've got some warmer weather on the way, Ken, for you, starting off our Wednesday morning with temperatures that feel quite pleasant. Even down the shore, they're on their way up into the mid-50s over toward Egg Harbor City and even places like toward Millville and Hamilton. About 50 in Cape May, which is pleasant considering just how cool it's been over the last few weeks. We'll turn this milder trend and let it stick around for the next several days. So the high today could make it up into the mid-40s. Average high is about 40 degrees, so we're still above average going into the next few days. Look at all of the clear sky that takes over today. That's what's allowing the fog to form. Whenever that cloud cover breaks and you get some clear sky, some of that radiational activity at the surface allows for the cooling to occur, and with the air so saturated, the air temperature reaches its dew point, creates the fog, and that lingers for the rest of the morning. It will likely break for a few patchy breaks of clear sky by the end of the day, but temperatures again holding pretty steady in the 40s today. Later on tonight, it turns a little bit cooler, and over the next several days, we have another warm up on the way. This comes in with some clearing throughout tomorrow afternoon. High pressure moves on in, brings back some warmer weather and a clear sky, and then we have our next weather front that takes over for Friday afternoon into Saturday. That will likely bring some scattered showers, but much warmer weather. You will notice the warmth with temperatures reaching the 60s here in New Jersey to finish out the weekend. And then, of course, cooler weather with that cold front and clearing just in time for Sunday. So there is a nice transition from the warmth that back down to the cool weather, even though it comes in the form of some showers throughout the day on Saturday. Middle of next week is our next opportunity to see some rain, but overall it looks to be a little bit unsettled toward the end of next week, as there is the colder air mixing with the moisture, maybe the potential for some snow down the road. It's at least 9 days away, so nothing to worry about just yet. Looking ahead, at least the warm-up that's immediately on the way. Then through tomorrow, Friday, and Saturday, temperatures climb to near 60 throughout the afternoon, and then come cooling down by Sunday into Monday. That will bring back, I think, a little bit more in the way of clear sky, but also cooler weather, seasonable chill. Nothing too harsh, especially with the shore points featuring dry weather through Friday, a little bit of wet weather on Saturday, and then the cool down for you as well down the shore, back into the average low 40s. We'll take another check of the extended 7-day and talk more about the drought here across New Jersey, because that is still occurring. We could use some more rain just to get us up to average. That's coming up in a few minutes.
Yeah, that's so important, Mike. All right, thank you so much. Usually like one big dump of snow, and not that I want that. Usually one good big dump of snow that slowly melts. That's usually good at saturating the ground, but we've been lucky so far on the one side not getting that this year, but on the other side, that could bring us into drought as we get into the warmer weather. So, yeah, unfortunately, got to bite the bullet sometime. Hurricanes, even though we complain about them and the damage and devastation and destruction, at the same time bring a lot of water, right? I mean,
They do.
there's a reason why we have these storms. They actually do in the long run tend to help. All right, Mike, we'll check back. Thank you very much. It is are we here? Where did my temperature go? 41 degrees in Trenton. I'm sorry, 43 degrees northern New Jersey, and 39 degrees now in Vineland. In terms of traffic, a lot of traffic is actually lightened up already. We have the fog that's lightened up, but take a look at what we have right here. This is Route 139 east of the New Jersey Turnpike. It's a bad camera shot, but it shows the ugliness of a lot of traffic. This is near the Holland Tunnel as you approach, but it is at least moving. And that's actually a good thing. So we go right to the Hudson River crossings. Holland Tunnel is going to be about 25 minutes, and that's what folks are going through right there. Lincoln Tunnel is about 30, and the GWB upper and lower levels, that's your worst all morning, and it's even starting to move just a little bit, about 45 minutes, and upper level on the right, lower on the left. The people who have to do that right there every day, as I used to, God bless you. There's a special place in heaven, because I don't know how you get the patience. Don't know how you get the patience. Speaking of patients, how do you like that segue? A new medical aesthetics clinic has opened in Princeton. It is the 60th location nationwide for Skin Spirit. Dana Castelli is a registered nurse with more than 16 years experience in medical aesthetics. She leads the clinic along with Ariel Suarez, who is a board certified physician's assistant. Good morning, Dana and Ariel. Good to have you both on.
Hi, good morning. Thank you for having us.
You win the award for having the best setup to make sure that the logo is on camera of anyone we've ever had on. That is probably the best camera shot, and you both look absolutely radiant. You look, if anyone
Perfect.
could depict perfection for the brand, you depict it perfectly. So I give you that. I was kidding around with my director, Pam, because I'm in a secondary studio today, and I always complain, being that we're talking about skin aesthetics, I always complain about my turkey neck that I'm getting in my late 50s now. So I went out and purchased this light to try to mask anything to hide the turkey neck. This is what it looks like without. This is what it looks like with the magic of the light. So I'm going to keep that light there until you could tell me what I'm going to do to fix that turkey neck. So you are now successfully running, or your company is, successfully running 60 medical aesthetics clinics. That says a lot for a company. That is unbelievable. I don't think there's one that's anywhere near that size. So Skin Spirit's 60th clinic just opened in the beautiful community of Princeton. What is the secret behind what makes the company so successful in that field?
Sure. So we offer highly personalized treatments, right? Our providers are extremely experienced, and we really listen to our clients. Our goal is to build trust and that you get the results that you're looking for, right? Natural, subtle, refreshed.
And I know there are a lot of different devices, machines, lasers, and injectables that have sprung up within the last decade that prior to a decade ago, they really didn't have. I mean, prior to a decade ago, you had Botox, and that was about it.
Right.
Today, it's like the sky's the limit. You have machines that do everything from toning the muscle layer, the M-Sculpt machines and M-Sculpt Nova and all those machines that are out. So I'm assuming you guys have that. You ladies have that at the clinic, I'm sure, right? Something like that, which tones the up. And for those who don't realize, M-Sculpt is amazing because it can burn fats, kill fat cells while doing toning of muscle layers deep down that you can't do on your own. You could do 1,000 sit-ups and not get what M-Sculpt does. So it's amazing to have access to these machines, and they're very expensive. And you guys have them, right? Talk about some of the services you have.
Sure. So we offer our core services are award-winning facials, injectables like Botox filler, dermal fillers, Juvederm Restylane. We offer advanced skin rejuvenation treatments like microneedling, energy and laser-based devices, as well as medical-grade skincare.
And so microneedling activates the collagen, right? It's little tiny needles that go through the skin just deep enough to trigger the production of collagen, but not deep enough to cause an infection or damage and it just feels like a little tiny pinch, but I've seen some people with that who their skin is plumped up in the course of a month. Unbelievably. It depends. Everybody's different though, right?
Yes, everyone's different. Microneedling can improve your collagen by 400% with just one treatment. We are targeting the superficial dermis layer to just help with fine lines, textures, pores, and just overall skin rejuvenation. And the best part about it is that there's little to no downtime.
And I just want to remind everybody, this is a registered nurse and a physician's assistant, both medical practitioners, professionals. I know sadly there are too many places, salons that try to cheat and do things that are probably borderline, if not actually illegal. You don't want to mess around, especially with your face,
Mm-mm.
going to these salons and say, "Come in the back, we got this." Don't do it.
Yeah.
Go to professionals. Am I right? I mean, and I'm sure you've heard the stories from patients.
Yes, patients come in a lot. They're very nervous. I mean, everyone's trying to promote themselves on social media these days. What's real, what's not, what's AI. So when our patients come in, it's really important that we do a one-on-one consultation with them and we can really educate them. And that's important for a patient to know. If you're going anywhere and paying for a service, you should really be sitting down and getting a full education on the facial assessment so we can explain how the natural aging process works. It's not a one size fits all. Every patient that comes in is unique. So what works for you may not work for your best friend. So we're really big on educating our patients to know, what is best for them and to not just do what's hyped on social media.
Absolutely. Ariel, you transitioned from emergency and urgent care into medical aesthetics. The ER is an entirely different beast, obviously, but I'm guessing it's probably the best foundational training that anyone in medicine could have.
Yes, yeah. So you're kind of thrown into the deep end there. The ER was great for me to build a strong clinical foundation, of course, skill wise, quick thinking, paying attention to detail. It's kind of like doing a puzzle, right? So the smallest detail typically is what gives you the answer to what's going on, and that really transitioned well into aesthetics. I kind of see it as less of a departure, more of a natural progression. I'm a very creative person and always had an interest in aesthetics. This is what I wanted to do. So it definitely really helped me to be the best provider in any setting. But aesthetics is great because you get to form long-lasting relationships rather than just
I would
a single
imagine.
moment in time. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had done before you guys came to our area, I had done M Sculpt. And that's
Okay.
why I brought it up. I had done, I want to
Yeah.
say about 5 or 6 treatments over the course of like a year and a half. And there is no question it works. There is no
Yep.
question it works. And it's
Yep.
wow, because I used to be 360 pounds. I'm 185 pounds and I wanted to tone up. But it's
You look
great. Give
amazing.
us your website really fast so that we could get everybody to Princeton.
Go ahead.
What
The
was that?
website.
Oh,
Your website. We want to
skinspirit.com.
know your website. Say it again.
Oh, we're skinspirit.com and we're at the Princeton
You got
location.
it. Skinspirit.com. Check them out. Thank you both very much for being on me. You have tons of success there. Have a great day. And we're
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Play it like the New York Sirens. Live in the spotlight. Etch your name in lights. Embrace the noise. And when it calls you, turn it up. Get louder. Play it like they'll hear us everywhere. Because this is our team. New York Sirens. Play it big.
A very good morning to you. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. Wow, hump day, middle of the week already. I'm Ken Rosato, and Mike Favetta, our meteorologist, has your full Garden State forecast.
Weather is brought to you by Audio Nova, your hearing experts.
I don't know, Mike, after the ladies were on, I'm looking at the turkey neck. I'm like, what do you think? Should I get a little microdermabrasion, a little? Look at that. If I just walk around with like a paper clip holding everything, and then imagine I sneeze and it goes, and that's what happens. But
Isn't there a
I can
Looney
poke
Tunes
the eye.
character? There's like a Looney Tunes character with the big neck, the dog, right? You know what I'm talking about. I don't remember the name, but that one
Yes.
talks like
They pull up the
yes,
Shar-Pei.
yes,
The
that's
Shar-Pei.
it.
They pull up the
That's
dog's
it.
skin and hold it back. Anyway, well, things are burning off, right? The fog is mostly gone in a lot of New Jersey right now.
The fog is starting to lift. It may take some time in certain areas of New Jersey, but otherwise, we're looking to turn a little brighter toward the end of the day, specifically this afternoon as temperatures warm into the upper 40s there from Jersey City and Hackensack. It'll be mid 40s through West Milford and Sussex, but it's a milder trend, and this is the beginning of that milder trend over the next few days. Maybe a slight cool down tomorrow, but we have a big resurgence in the warm weather come Friday. Still in a bit of a drought, the severe drought only for a portion of Sussex and Warren County. The rest of the state, a moderate drought. We could use a little more rain since we're still running at about a ½ inch to an inch of a rainfall deficit in the worst location. 1 to 2 inches of a rainfall deficit down in Cape May. But again, I think the weather looking a little bit milder over the next few weeks, going through the last week of January. Plenty of that warmer weather, not just for us here in New Jersey, but even for folks out west. If you're planning any travel plans, you'll have warmer weather there. Dry weather out west, and then here in the Northeast, especially for New Jersey, also slightly drier conditions. Is there the potential for some more winter weather on the way? Yeah, winter's not done yet. I still think there's a possibility to see in the next week or so some more winter-like weather set up. But until then, it's a little bit of a taste of spring with the showers, the temperatures that climb to near 60 on Saturday. With the sunshine, it'll look decent as well for Sunday. Early morning sprinkles and temperatures fall throughout the day. And then even into the middle of next week, will hold in the mid 40s. Also for you at the shore, less of a chance of rain, milder weather, looking good there. But again, not quite done with winter yet, even though the longer range is hinting at a warm up. Yeah, we still could have some more snow in the forecast. We'll talk more about those details. Of course, we have all of the information you want to know online 24/7 on our streaming channel, ONNJ.com. So be sure to get the weather updates throughout the day there, Ken.
There you go. Or as my 95-year-old dad, God bless him, always says, so what channel number is ONNJ? What is this ONNJ? Dad, it's channel number blah, blah, blah. What? Yeah, it's channel blah, blah. Can I just set the TV so that I could see it? That's what I get. So now he's waking up. Hi, Dad. He's waking up to his streaming channel. There you go. The wave of the future. Mike, thank you, sir. We will check in the morning. We appreciate you as always. It is currently 41 degrees in Trenton. It's 43 degrees northern New Jersey and 40 degrees in Cape May. In terms of traffic, let's go over to I-78, shall we? Right now, we have a crash on I-78 express lanes just west of the New Jersey Turnpike Toll Plaza in Newark. 2 right lanes of the 3 lanes closed. Look at, oh, okay, that was a freeze in the camera, but you can still see it's rather slow. So that's what we have as a result right there. We have a disabled vehicle on the Garden State Parkway southbound north of 136 Stiles Street in Cranford, center lane block there, and a disabled vehicle on the Garden State Parkway south of exit 149, Route 506 Bloomfield with the right lane block there. So it's the same general area. That's where there's still some residual fog. Just wondering if there's any connection there. Jersey Turnpike delays, I-95 local lanes northbound approaching GWB, lower level Fort Lee with a 2-mile delay due to volume. We'll give you an idea of that when we show you the camera on the GWB. And if we go over to, what did we have, Pam? What was our other shot? 139. This is 139 approaching the Holland Tunnel. You can see it's a kind of a dirty lens right there, but just bumper to bumper traffic. This is local roads approaching the Holland. Once you get to the Holland, though, it's only 25 to 30 minutes into Manhattan. It's just getting there from the local approaches that's kind of ugly. Now, Lincoln Tunnel is about 30 to 35 minutes in, and we look at the GWB upper and lower levels, and what we have is a mess, and that's been that way all morning long. Upper level on the right, lower on the left, still going to cost you at least 45 to 50 minutes into Manhattan. 8:50 is our time. A major development in veterinary education is taking shape right here in New Jersey with October's launch of the Schreiber School of Veterinary Medicine. The Rowan University School in Harrison Township is training the next generation of veterinarians while also expanding access to high-quality animal care for the surrounding community. Dr. Matthew Edson is dean of the school. He joins us this morning. We say good morning to you, Dr. Edson.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
You bet. Nice to have you on. And so talk about what's different about the school. Is this the first school of veterinary medicine in New Jersey?
Very first. This is the first time we've had access to vet education within the Garden State.
That's unbelievable to think about, the most densely populated state surrounded by the first largest market, New York, and the fourth largest market, Philadelphia, and we never had a veterinary school. That's mind-boggling.
We haven't, and all of us that were Jersey residents growing up had to leave the state to go to school. We average about 300 New Jersey residents a year that want this vet education, so there's definitely a need.
And what a great location, and what a great thing to have. And Schreiber is, of course, a teaching hospital. So what does that mean for area residents and pet owners?
Yeah, that means not just our students have access to the education here, but everyone in our area has access to veterinary care that they may not have been able to access before. That's not only the primary care like you'd have for your cat or dog for wellness and vaccines, but also for care for large animals like horses and goats and sheep. We have a service covering all of the southern part of New Jersey, as well as a hospital with specialty care like cardiology and oncology. Radiation imaging, radiation oncology is not something we offer here, but diagnostic imaging like X-ray, CT, MRI, care for exotic animals, anything that you could possibly imagine you need for your pet, we now have here right in Harrison Township.
I'm amazed by the different specialties in veterinary medicine that I'm seeing. I live half between South Florida and New Jersey, half and half. And in South Florida, especially, I see there's a clinic that is a dental clinic it's a veterinary dental clinic. And that to me is a specialty I had never seen before. Is that relatively new to see something like that?
We have specialties just like we do in human medicine. And I was talking to somebody yesterday saying animals have eyes too. We have ophthalmologists for that reason. Dental disease is a really big problem in our pets. We brush our teeth once or twice a day. Our pets don't do that. So we have an entire dental program here, not just for routine dentistry, but all the way up to oral surgery, an entire suite of our hospital dedicated just to that program.
If I had 2 Pomeranians, unfortunately, they passed on already, but those little dogs tend to get a lot of grime in the back of their teeth. My pets, as sweet as they are, would not let me near their teeth. And so it would always end up being the annual, or every other year, the knock them out and let the dentist scrape the plaque off those teeth. But that's not the way, right? There's got to be a better way. So hopefully you could teach stupid people like me how to properly brush the teeth of their little dogs. So why should a prospective veterinary student halfway across the country want to come to New Jersey for this particular veterinary school? This is offering a lot, as you're mentioning, of the specialties that maybe some of the older schools are not.
Many of the schools do have teaching hospitals. Some of the newer programs actually do distributive education where there's not an on-campus hospital. we felt that it was important here to have a hospital on campus that we could use for teaching of our students, but also knowing that there was a need for those services in the southern part of the state. So there was a couple pieces to the calculus of that. I think our program, really one of our major focuses is we want these students to feel like they are prepared to enter practice at the time they leave our program and feel like they got what they paid for in their education by having that level of preparation. So we're very big on hands-on training, clinical skills from the very first day, and teaching these students not just the book knowledge, but the actual practical and professional skills to be able to do this job when they leave us here.
How many students do you have right now in your program?
Our very first class of 75 students just finished their first semester. They're coming back from their Christmas break on Monday. So they'll be coming back for the second half of their first year this coming Monday. And we're already in the midst of applications for our second class, which will enter next fall.
I love that. And they're the very first, they'll be the first graduating class ever. And that's fantastic. How exciting is that? And then do they go into other, like, do they do clinicals and rounds and whatnot at other veterinarians before they get their license? Is that how it works in veterinary medicine?
They may. Our program is really structured where the first year teaches them all the normals, the second year teaches them all the abnormals, the third is how to make the abnormals normal again, and then we do about 13 months of clinical training within our hospitals here, within our field services, whether that be for large animal shelter medicine, and to some degree some outside training at other clinics. After that, they're eligible to sit for a licensing exam and become licensed in any of the 50 states. Some of them then go on to postgraduate training if they want to be a specialist. So a student who wants to be a radiologist or a surgeon will often go to 3 or 4 more years of training after school. Those that are going to general practice typically enter general practice after graduation.
Dr. Hudson, do they ever end up studying some of that, like radiology? Do they go to a human medical school ever to study that? Because I'm assuming the science behind it is it's pretty much the same, right?
We don't have required rotations in any of the human medical schools, but we do here at Rowan have both an osteopathic and allopathic or DO and MD program. And we're very big on One Health here and getting these students in all of these programs together to understand the strengths of all of our professions. So they certainly have opportunity to interact with those on the human medical side, whether it's in that setting or in research, but it's not a required part of our curriculum.
No, that's fascinating, and how it all comes together eventually. Just an amazing thing. I love veterinary medicine, and I have an awe for veterinarians because people forget when you're a veterinarian, you don't just treat dogs and cats, you treat any animal, right? So you need to know the biology of a zillion different species, whereas doctors for humans only have to worry about one. So there's a lot of study there, a lot of serious research you all have to do. The website for you folks, what is your website, Doctor?
It's SVM, as in School of Veterinary Medicine.rowan.edu.
The Schreiber School of Veterinary Medicine, if I could say it, veterinary medicine in Harrison Township, part of Rowan University, now open and training the next generation of veterinarians. Dr. Matthew Edson, the school's dean, thank you for coming on this morning. Good luck to that first
Thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, sir. And that's New Jersey Mornings for today. Have a wonderful one. We'll see you tomorrow.